This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for January 4th, 2021. It's a Zoom meeting, first one of the new year. We welcome you all. My name is Vern Carlson, and I am chairman of the commission. At this point, before we have some public hearings tonight, five public hearings, and a couple site plans. Before we get to that, let me introduce our staff to you. Alan Fredrickson is here. He's our land use administrator.
Hello.
Andy Belavacqua, he is here, and he's our town engineer. Pam Miller is our staff secretary. At this point, I will invite Jennifer Crapola to call the roll for the meeting. I just want to bring in that Teresa will not be here. So Paul, you will be sitting in Teresa's, since you're the next one up, you will be in Teresa's place this evening. Jennifer, you want to?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I'm going to call the roll. Vern Carlson.
Here.
Rich Wilson.
Here.
Teresa Ranciato-Vili is absent. Jim Giletti.
Here.
Brian Cummings.
Here.
Joe Salamini.
Here.
Rod Williams.
Here.
And Paul Wyman.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you. Well, let me get right into the meeting here. Jim, do you want to act as secretary this evening, or Brian, one of you?
I don't care. What do you want to do, Brian? You want it to be you?
If you don't want it, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm willing to pass it to Brian.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Go ahead, Brian. What we're going to do is Brian Cummings will act as secretary tonight. But just let me explain to the public what we have going on tonight. We have 5 public hearings and 1 site plan. 5 public hearings, I believe. 5 public hearings. And we will.
All right, so I can see them.
Hello. Okay, but in any event, we're gonna have Brian. Would you call P20-25S?
Thank you, Vern. This is P2025S, continuation of the special permit application of GBRS TORZ LLC, applicant and owner, relative to 318 Kings Highway, map 98, lot 1, plan entitled Re-Subdivision of Anderson Sunnyside Farm, land of GBRS TORZ, LLC, 318 Kings Highway, Town of North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by LRC Group, dated 9/2/2020, scale 1 inch equals 60 feet, R40 zoning district. Would you like to read the application for?
Want to continue with P20-25?
Sure. This is P20-25, continuation of the re-subdivision application of GBRS TORZ, LLC, applicant and owner, for 8 lots relative to 318 Kings Highway, map 98, lot 1, plan entitled Re-Subdivision of Anderson Sunnyside Farm, land of GBRS TORZ, LLC, 318 Kings Highway, Town of North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by LRC Group, dated 9/2/2020, scale 1 inch equals 60 feet, R40 zoning district.
Okay. Pam, let the record show we're taking 1 and 2 at the same time.
Okay, got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there someone there representing the applicant?
Yes, there's several of us, Mr. Carlson, attorney Amy Bloom here, as
Yes.
well as the engineers are with me, I believe. I don't see them, but I think I heard Rich. Is John there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So It's our understanding this is a continuation from the hearing that we had last month. And I believe that you were looking at the post-construction inspection and maintenance report that had been submitted by the engineers. However, it was not submitted till the time of the hearing, and the commission had requested some more time to review that. So with that said, if there are questions by the commission with respect to that agreement, John Wagenblatt is here to discuss that.
Okay, thank you so much. Jim, have you got the agreement with you there?
I do, and I have to tell you, that's not my recollection at all, actually. I do have what is purported to be a post-construction inspection and maintenance. I don't know what this is. My understanding when we left last time was that there was going to be some proposal made as to exactly how it was going to be maintained. Attorney Bloom, as I recall, you kept saying all people had to do was rake it and it would be sufficient, and our engineer said that's not sufficient. The real concern is, how is it going to be handled such that the landowner is required to make sure this thing is maintained so that the people down don't get flooded? And I don't see anything that tells me how that's going to happen.
So if I can defer to your town council on this.
That's where we want to go, certainly.
Jen?
Yes, so I'll jump in. So I did prepare some potential conditions of approval for the applications for you. I'm going to try to screen share. I've been having some problems today.
Well, before we get there, I don't understand. If something is being, wait, before we get there. If something is being proposed to make it so that it's effective, why have we not seen it before now?
That's simply a matter of the fact that with the holidays and with planned time off of staff and whatnot, I did send it to staff on Thursday. They were able to review it this morning. I exchanged communications with Andy. He's okay with the language. And again, these are potential conditions of approval to address what I think is necessary as your counsel to address the concerns that I perceived you had, Jim, about the town being able to have access rights and enforcement rights if in fact, and there's a specific note on the site development plan, the sheet, the SDP1 sheet, that obligates the individual property owners to be responsible for routine cleaning and maintenance. So I look to beef up that language with regard to the stormwater management inspection and maintenance agreement, because I felt that the original language that was proposed was insufficient. I also am proposing a condition of approval with regard to deed language and as well with regard to the management plan itself. Yes. Jim, we can't hear you for some reason.
So
okay.
let me say this. I don't have that. And I don't know how it's going to be proposed to be enforceable, but I don't like getting it now and being asked to vote on it tonight without having seen it ahead of time. I'm going to say it flat out. So you can tell me that you've got some proposals that you think are sufficient, but it's our job to determine whether it's sufficient. And I don't think it's very fair to us, ask us to take a look at something you've worked on, give it to us at the meeting and say, this should do it. So I'm just letting you know, I'm not happy that that's how we're proceeding unless we're not proceeding that way. If we're going to get it, you're going to give it to us and then we're going to get some time to look at it. That's fine. But otherwise, I'm not happy because we very clearly expressed the concern of how we were going to enforce this. How we were going to make sure that if the landowner didn't do it, the town could come in and do it. And I've got nothing that says how that's going to work. Nothing. So you're telling me that we're going to do that, but we should have had it before now.
So I would like to present the proposed recommendation for the conditions of approval with regard to what I just spoke to in terms of the revision to note 16, the deed language, and also, again, addressing the stormwater management inspection and maintenance agreement. What was circulated to you, again, just to follow up on what Attorney Bloom said, included in your packets, I believe, and I think this is what Jim was saying, he felt was insufficient, was the one page, if you guys, in terms of looking at your packet information, the one-page document that is the inspection and maintenance plan that I believe that John Wagenblatt prepared and submitted to the town engineer. So if you want to go to that, I will speak to that. And I am going to try to screen share, so please just tell me if you can see the particular document. So can everybody see the document? The conditions of approval?
Yes.
So just taking you through, again, a proposed revision to note 16. And this is for sheet SDP 1, which is the site development plan sheet. I'm proposing that you approve the applications with a revision to that note 16, again, the site development plan, prepared by LRC Group, revised through November 10th, 2020, to state the following: that the individual property owners shall be responsible for routine cleaning and maintenance of all water quality measures, rain gardens, stormwater management areas, outlet pipes, and spillways on their property. And that is language that was originally in the note, but then as you move on in that note, it suggests that there's going to be a separate maintenance agreement or stormwater management agreement with regard to each individual property that would be submitted and recorded. That to me is unsatisfactory. I think you need to have one agreement that all property owners who have stormwater management facilities on their property are complying with, that agreement needs to be submitted prior to the transfer or conveyance of any of the lots. So I revised the note as follows from that point to say, and shall comply with a stormwater management inspection and maintenance agreement to be prepared and recorded on the land records prior to conveyance of any lots, which agreement shall describe the requirements for maintenance and inspections and provide rights of access and enforcement to the town of North Haven in the event any property owner fails to adhere to the terms and conditions of the agreement. Individual plot plans for each lot shall be required and approved by town staff. And approval by town staff must be obtained prior to construction. I changed that last sentence, just tweaked it a little bit. Moving on from there, the next recommended condition of approval addresses the deed language. All deeds shall make specific reference to and restate the obligation of that revised note number 16 to specifically bind all property owners / title holders, their heirs, successors, and assigns to all terms and conditions of the stormwater management inspection and maintenance agreement to be recorded on the land records prior to conveyance of any lots. A draft of the deed shall be submitted to town staff and council for approval prior to the first conveyance. This is something that you've done before in terms of easement agreements, requiring that town staff receive easement agreement in advance of it being recorded. And typically you permit the town engineer to review the easement agreement, and he will consult with me, as did his predecessor, if there's some particular concern about the proposed easement agreement. And then the following language is possible language to be included in the deed, just to again sort of send this applicant in the right direction in terms of what we're looking for. The grantees, his, her, their heirs, successors, and assigns shall be responsible, again, and I'm using the same language that's in the revised note 16, shall be responsible for routine cleaning and maintenance of all water quality measures, rain garden, stormwater management areas, outlet pipes, and spillways on their property as described, and shall comply with all inspection and maintenance requirements and other terms and conditions provided in the water management inspection and maintenance agreement, recorded out in volume and page, again, with the idea it's going to be recorded before the deeds of the North Haven land records, as said requirements may be amended from time to time by the town engineer of the town of North Haven. And then the last condition of approval goes to the agreement itself. A stormwater management inspection and maintenance agreement shall be entered into between the town and the applicant, which shall be recorded in the land records prior to the conveyance of any lots. I have prepared a draft agreement. I've been having an issue today with accessing it, so I can't share that with you. But it does, again, describe the requirements for the maintenance and inspections. It incorporates the plan sheet that I asked you to pull out from your packet that was proposed by the applicant's engineer, and the town engineer did approve those specifics in terms of the inspection and maintenance agreement itself. And it, again, provides rights of access and enforcement to the town in the event that any property owner fails to adhere to the terms and condition of the agreement. So it's restating all the idea is that the plan's going to be amended. If whoever is speaking, please mute yourself.
Oh, okay.
Give me 1 second. Alan, you're the host. You're going to have to mute them.
I'm looking for it.
First class.
It says new gaps. I don't know what that is, but that's what's talking.
Hold on 1 sec.
Right. कोई डिलीवरी मंगाओ नीचे?
All right, thanks. Got him. Okay.
You got them out?
Yep.
Okay. And again, we want all the documents to reflect the same obligation, because we want to put potential purchasers of the subdivision lots on notice of what the responsibility is going to be. And I know that we've got a couple of real estate lawyers on here. I mean, we as lawyers, we understand that if the deeds reference the plan and the plan references the obligation, the plan, the map reference gets incorporated into the deed language. That's critical. But again, we want to, I think, reaffirm again the obligation and all the documents. This, in terms of the agreement itself, I have used the typical language that I use in terms of access, and give flexibility in terms of discretion to the town engineer to establish the appropriate inspection schedule. There was something specific proposed, but there is some more general language to take care of that. There is, and I talked to Andy about this, we do give, some very specific notice requirements and an opportunity to cure, but we're not giving anybody who fails to adhere to their obligation a long period of time within which to cure. We decided upon 14 days. So that's it in a nutshell. The language is by and large repetitive again throughout these various documents, but that's my recommendation to you in terms of condition of approval. And, this is, I think it takes into consideration the concerns that were expressed by the commission at the last meeting, and also addresses, I think, some concerns of the applicant as well. Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you. Jen, can you take that down? You want that up there? Does anybody want to leave that up there for now? Jim?
Let me say again, this document that's up there right now, we should have had before now. I am not going to vote on this without having an opportunity to read it. also, it talks about a management inspection and maintenance agreement that's supposed to be entered into. This is the planning and zoning's job. We should know exactly what it says and see it before we vote on this. So I can appreciate what Jennifer's interests are and what she's trying to do, but not having the language and seeing all of the language, when you just said 14 days, I don't know where the provision is. If the landowner doesn't do what they're supposed to do, can the town go in and charge them for it? Is that in this agreement? I don't know, because I don't see the agreement. So I do not feel comfortable voting on this. If I've got to vote on it, I don't have any understanding of what the actual language would be, so I would vote against it. But maybe, I don't know what we're going to do, but I don't know. I don't understand how our board is supposed to vote on all that language, which we've never seen before.
Attorney Amy Bloom speaking now. I believe that what Jen had proposed in terms of the conditions was that the commission authorizes their town council and the town engineer to incorporate the necessary language to protect the town and the legal aspects of it, to protect that. So I believe that that is part of the condition that she was looking at in terms of not having the actual agreement there, is because there hasn't been a final agreement that has been determined. But that's why I believe it was being asked of the commission to give the authority to its council and its town engineer to work the language of that agreement, which that agreement would have to be entered into, prior to conveyance of any of the lots. So it's not something that, is done in terms of the approval. Would be, do you meet the requirements, I believe, for getting the re-subdivision, and then condition it on that. So Mr. Giletti, if you're saying that you're not comfortable in terms of authorizing your council and the town engineer to negotiate that final agreement, then I guess is that basically the issue?
Let me say this. At the last hearing, we heard from neighbors. We've got concerns by neighbors that I share. And I am not comfortable just saying, okay, as long as Jennifer and our town engineer agree, that I think we should see the language. I think it's our job to make sure that this is done and is done correctly. And I want to see that. I, just as one member of the board, want to see that language, and I'm not comfortable approving it with the idea is, okay, whatever Jennifer and Andrea come up with is good enough. That's not good enough for me. I'm very concerned that this isn't going to work. So I want to see exactly how it's going to be done to protect the people in that area.
So with all due respect, it's my recollection that there was one neighbor that appeared, Burke, and they were concerned. And when they heard from your engineer saying that this was going to make things better, and your engineer affirmed that what was being proposed was going to make their situation better, I believe that they did not have any further concern there. There were not any other neighbors present. So it was just one party that was there. And I think it was Kraus that was there, if I recall from my notes. And I believe that, yes, that's who it was, Kraus.
Are you set, Amy?
Yeah, that's all I really have on the issue of the neighbor there, and what my recollection was.
Okay, very good.
Vern, this is Brian Cummings. I do have a question, and it's for Andy. And it goes to the post-construction and inspection and maintenance page we got. And it's the last sentence of the first paragraph. And it says inspection should be performed in a minimum of twice per year on about April 1st and November 1st. And after every major rain event of a half inch of rain or greater during a 24-hour period. Do we have the manpower to do that, Andy?
I don't believe that was for us to do. That inspection was to be performed by the property owners. Inspections that we perform would be at our discretion, so we could go out anytime we wanted to. The property owners would be required to inspect those facilities to make sure that there wasn't a maintenance that needed to be done.
Would they have to be trained in doing this at all?
They're going to have a detailed instruction as to what needs to get done. So I would say probably not. I mean, I would be happy to answer any questions or discuss anything with them if that came up, but they'll have detailed instructions on what needs to get done. They could pass that on to a contractor or do it themselves.
So that's not a concern of yours, Andy, is it? I mean, it's pretty well said.
It's a big concern that the maintenance doesn't get done and it doesn't get done properly. But I think we've got to do whatever we can do to try to set this up in such a way that it makes it as easy as possible for people to follow the instructions.
Is it set up that way now?
Say that again?
Is it set up that way now? I mean, if we're going to vote on this, would you be confident with this?
Well, there was a more detailed inspection that Jennifer referred to that will be the document that this is probably the majority of it, but the final document has not been completed at this point.
Brian, let me just follow up with that, based on what you're saying. That's exactly what my problem is. So what happens when they don't do it? Okay. And what enforcement ability do we have? What does the document say about when they don't do it? How can we either make them do it or the town go in and do it? And then if the town has to go in and do it, does the landowner have to pay for that? And what does the document say? And I think we should know what that document says.
Andy, excuse me, Vern, has this document been drawn up yet?
Yes.
It has, okay.
Yes. And I just want to Brian's question, though, there's something important, and I don't know how familiar all of you are, but with the MS4 program, the town is doing quite a bit of education. And I know, and Andy and I haven't talked about this specifically, but, we've done, and I think you got it in your tax bills, there was a little brochure and so forth. One of the things, and this is sort of an aside, but there is a lot of information out there in terms of meeting this type of maintenance and management obligation. We do meet on a quarterly basis. Staff meets with the consultant, and there are a lot of aspects to the town's efforts in terms of meeting its legal obligations, but a big component of it is education. So we do have a lot of materials out there, and I think Andy, right? And I haven't taken a look through the entirety of the new town website at this point, but the management plan, the town's management plan, and all that educational material, is that on your page, Andy, on the engineering page?
Yes. Yep.
So just so that you guys know that that's something that we're constantly looking to educate, because that's a component in terms of us meeting our legal obligations too with the state. So,
Jim.
But of course, just again, enforcement is enforcement. The agreement has all of it in it. And, I'm sorry, I can't open it. I don't know what's wrong with the document. but I tried to do a screen share with it and cannot get it open. So, but of course, there's the ability to, again, the language is as proposed to revise that note 16 to include in the deed the town's rights of access and enforcement. The town's not going to go and do work on somebody's property and not pursue a lien or payment of the expenses that are incurred. This isn't.
So
what we're doing
says,
here is not what we haven't, is not something that we haven't done before.
What says the town can go do that? Because
it's in the agreement itself.
This is Jim Gilletti again. Does this agreement that none of us have seen say the town has the right to go in there and charge them? Does it say?
Absolutely.
Okay, but
of
we
course
don't see that. Again, this is my point. It may be just fine, but I'm not comfortable voting sight unseen. But that's enough for me.
Yeah. Jim, this is Vern. You want to see both documents. You want to see this one and the final document before you vote on this.
Vern, the only thing we were given is this one sheet that's up there now. That's a very nice wish list, but it doesn't have anything to do with enforcement. Nothing whatsoever. It doesn't say anything about the other document is the thing that says it's going to be on the deed and where everything is going to be included. And we didn't get to see that till today. And it talks about another document still that I think we should be looking at.
Okay. So there's much to look at.
So if the document itself, I don't think is as important as the fact that the commission, as proposed by the council, is to authorize your town attorney and your engineer to revise this agreement or enter into this agreement or prepare this agreement, what's in the best interest of the town. So it's not asking you to go in blind and do something that you're not understanding, and your council just made representations to you about the terms that will be included in the agreement. So I believe on your own town council's recommendations and your own town council's affirmations as to how this is going to work, I believe that is enough for the commission to say we're going to go with what our town council and what our engineer are proposing need to be in that agreement. And I believe that the way that the condition is proposed, that it would be something that the council could vote on, because you'd be giving that authority to your attorney and the engineer who have made certain recommendations to you, as well as affirmations as to what would be this agreement and how it would work.
Well,
and just to respond to that, I think it's our job, not the town council's and not the engineer. The engineer and the town council are there to advise us, and I think we should be looking at it. It's our job to make sure that this project is done correctly. That's why there's a planning and zoning commission, and these things aren't just done administratively.
No, that's understood, and that's why there are conditions for approval. And it's my understanding that routinely the legal documents, as well as specific engineering matters that need to be done, are routinely developed from the town attorney as well as the engineer. So that's where I was coming from and what I was representing to you. And I know that, your attorney was getting.
I thought we were going in that direction myself. But listen, I certainly want Jim to be comfortable with what he's doing here. And, he's very meticulous, and I respect what he has to say. And I want to be fair to everyone on this commission. Let me just step back here and let me get over to Brian. Brian, what are you thinking about this?
Well, my thoughts are this. I trust Andy and I trust Jennifer. I trust their judgments on these things. But I do have this, and this is sad, but it's a bigger thought. The meeting was scheduled for January 4th, 2021. We've had times where we haven't gotten documents, and we've been asked to, I think Washington Avenue and Blake's, there was another one. We didn't have the document. We just have to respect the dates of the meetings. And I know COVID-19 has not been nice to any of us. We're all delayed on everything. But the meeting is scheduled for tonight. The document should be there for us to review before the meeting, at least. That's my thought.
Good enough, Brian. Thank you. Rich?
I kind of have the same feeling about Brian, that, we all know when the meeting is going to be, and the documents that we're voting on should be in front of us, complete.
Okay, good enough. Thanks, Rich. Paul?
Yes, I agree. We should have the.
Okay, you agree with that. Okay, Jim? It looks as though everybody agrees that they want to read this document, or perhaps all the documents before we get anything approved here. Jennifer, I thought it was just the opposite of what they're thinking. I thought it was to go on your shoulders and on our town engineer's shoulders to work this thing out. And, we were certainly going to vote on it, but certainly I didn't think we'd have much to say about what went into it, because I thought you would take care of the legal end of it, and certainly Andy would take care of the field end of it, that it was covered, and we had the right to go in and inspect it, do the work, and lien the property if, in fact, the town had to do it. I thought that's the way we had it set up. However, if they want to read it beforehand, that's something else again. Alan?
Well, I don't mean to speak for anyone.
I just want you to put your opinion here.
But I have a question, just kind of basically. Is this the last issue involving the application? And I understand what Jim's saying, and I just like to add that it's not so much just looking at the at the language or what have you, but it's the complexity of the site and whether the proposed mitigation method is going to work at all, that I think Jim has the issue with, and I know everyone has really had issue with. I think those neighbors who are downstream, there's a lot of apprehension on the commission's part, in terms of proceeding with this, and this is our principal device. On the let's say on the same hand, I really applaud the developer for making the changes that they've made, and for taking something that's a problem that is inherent in the site, and for proposing the mitigation across that eastern edge of the site that they proposed. If there's no particular issue, and I guess I'd tend to defer this right back to the developer on this, maybe it just does need to get bumped to next month. If this is the only issue, it wouldn't be a big effort to just get that language circulated and verify that that all that we've said is there, and Jim's accountability to the voters and the property owners out there in North Haven, that he can feel good about it. So if it doesn't really matter, we're in January right now. I understand we've got a little bit of a review of approval process, but this is the last step along the way. We've been to wetlands. This is right on the brink of approval with P&Z. Is there really a big issue with bumping it the 30 more days and getting everyone happy?
Yeah, the whole thing here, let me ask you this question. How do we stand on timing here?
We're okay because, quite frankly, because of the governor's declaration
I saw that.
extending everything, and we don't have a risk of expiration. I reviewed that with Jennifer before the meeting. We feel comfortable with that.
Okay, good enough.
So just in terms of that, if you're going to vote to continue it, you should be voting. I've been giving this advice to every board and commission I represent. If you're going to need to exercise your authority under the executive order, it's Executive Order 7I, it's Section 19. If you're going to use any portion of the 90 days, you should be voting to use that portion that's necessary to bring you to your next meeting. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to move to continue it, that's the language I've been recommending, that, that the commission is choosing again, to use that portion of the 90 days afforded by Executive Order 7I as is necessary to extend or continue the public hearing to its next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, Jennifer.
Or next scheduled meeting, because we're in winter. So we know sometimes we have snow. Just to follow up though on what Alan said, because of this back and forth, I'm concerned about something. Andy and I think, and Andy, I don't want to speak for you, but we've been operating that, again, the plan that was proposed, that one-page sheet that you did have in your packet in terms of inspection and maintenance, and I'm not going to say that that's the only terms that I included, because I did include some more general terms and some introductory language to those obligations that I thought were necessary. But in terms of the content of those planned recommendations coming from the project engineer, do you have any particular concerns about that content? Because I think we need to hear it now so that we're not, delaying the applicant further when we
I want to be sure that the only thing, Jennifer, this is Vern. I want to be sure that the only thing we're talking about, if we continue this, that we're talking about is the language in the document that you're bringing forth to us, nothing else. That's the only thing we're just waiting for.
Now, again, Vern, please understand, and other members of the commission, please understand that I did incorporate what you're seeing in terms of the proposed plan into the agreement. But if you have, specific concerns about any of these particulars, again, and I could put the document up again, please let us know now if you could.
Okay, very good. Jim, what do you feel about that? I'll go right to you.
Well, let me say this. With regard to when you're talking about the documents, if you're talking about the one-page document as to what the landowner has to do, that's perfectly willing to say, if Andy says that's all the landowner needs to do to take care of it, I'm okay with that. The thing I'm not okay with, so I'm clear, is I'm worried about enforcement. I need Andy to tell me this is going to work. So if Andy is telling me that page is good enough and that's going to work, Andy's our engineer. I'm on board with him. What I want to see is the enforcement language. And you put up your sheet, which had all that language. Haven't had a chance to look at it. That's what I'm worried about. I want to see it so that if something doesn't work right, we've been stuck before where people tell us everything's going to go great, there's no problem, and then it doesn't go great. I want to know what I'm worried about this site. Other people are worried about the site. I want to give it the best shot we can. So I'm not worried about how often they have to rake or how often they have to clear. I'll leave that to Andy. I'm okay. For me, for one guy, I don't have any issue about that. It's the enforcement issues that I'm worried about.
Okay.
This is a public hearing. I don't know if there's anybody else to talk here. I assume we're going to get.
Well, we'll get to that, Jim. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Jennifer, can I ask you a question? Just again, in terms of that agreement, or what would be filed on the deed, is there an aspect of that that would sort of define what those features are. That is to say, if we had an owner come in, 5 years from now, and they arbitrarily wanted to fill in a portion of it or what have you, without having looked at it, I think the maintenance of it is one thing, but the fact that it exists at all, is similar to wetlands, to point out that this is an important feature of this particular site plan and that it needs to be maintained. Is that something that's in the agreement?
Well, I think you said a lot there. I assume you reviewed, because you got last week, the proposed conditions of approval. You saw the deed language. The deed language, again, makes specific reference, at least, where we're kind of headed with that. We need to reaffirm that obligation that's in the plan, that's in that note 16. So, in terms of giving a heads up, it's going to be in the approved plan itself. So, you talk about people doing their due diligence when they buy a piece of property. It's going to be in the approved plan. It's going to be in, these are the reason why I did it this way of, again, suggesting conditions of approval is that, the idea would be that it would be of record in several places, right? It's going to be in the letter of decision. It's going to be in the plan itself. And then I propose the deed language separately. And the deed language calls out, there's this obligation, again, of note 16 that the individual property owners are going to maintain. And, that language, I didn't change that language. That is what was proposed by the engineer in the original note 16. So, in terms of the agreement, again, it reiterates, it reasserts that obligation, and it fleshes out in more detail. Again, what's the inspection obligation? What's the maintenance obligation? And then goes into rights of access, rights of enforcement, and other things that we would typically have in an agreement of that nature. And,
okay.
Al, we've done some of these, this is a little bit different, but some of the language is going to be familiar to you. Some of it won't be.
We've done, yes, I agree with you. We've done quite a few of these where the town retains the right to go in and perform mitigation or cleaning or what have you. So it makes sense, but okay.
Yeah, there's statutory aspects of it that you're familiar with.
Jen, I'm going to hold on just a second here. Let me get up to Paul. Paul,
yeah, Paul.
Want to get in?
Yes.
Paul?
Yeah, I do have a comment. Paul Wyman, I do have a comment. I agree with Alan, and I'm thinking about the language saying something about no modifications other than what the plans say. If somebody goes in and fills in an area, we need to be able to, address that as well. So,
I think that's something, though, as your counsel, I would recommend that it not be that limited. The way that I've written the agreement is it gives the discretion to your town engineer, because we don't know how things are going to change over time. And we need to keep that in mind. So,
I'm saying, that's Paul Wyman again. I'm just saying no modifications without the approval of the town engineer.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if we're there or not, but in any event, Jennifer, how long will it take us to get everything together here to satisfy this point that we're working at here?
In terms of the agreement itself?
Well, I'm going to put the whole package together, so I don't want anything out there for next month. I mean, we're going to have it in a week, we're going to have it in 2 weeks, or we're going to have it in 2 days. I just want to give me one from the hip and tell me about that.
I mean, I can't open the document. So.
You can't get it open. Huh? All right. Well, I heard you say that before, and that's unfortunate.
I mean, I have a prior draft and printed out that has my notes on it about the additions that I made. And, I started to retype the thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to finish, I'll have to do that and I'll circulate that. But it has to, we need the input from the other side too. I mean, we have to give them at least a week to review it. I mean, it's not as involved as some agreements as I've drafted, but they need to be able to review it independently and comment.
Yeah. In any event, let me get out there to the public, Jennifer, and see what they have to say. Is there anyone here in the public that wants to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in favor of the application?
This is Mary White. I have questions.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
I don't know.
Let me get to that. Do you want to get a question in being in favor of this or in opposition?
Well, yeah, I'm mostly in favor, I would say.
Okay, good enough. Would you bring it up?
Yes. Okay, so it's Mary White, Summer Lane. Yep. So my questions and clarifications that I need are regarding that maintenance of the stormwater management areas, that agreement. So I wanted to clarify that. Is it going to be just one property owner that is going to be responsible? I don't remember the drawing, and that not all 8 property owners who is responsible. And then I had a clarification. So if it is one property owner and they do not maintain the area that they're supposed to, so I'm hearing the town can go in and do the maintenance and I guess charge the property owner. So my suggestion, I don't know if it's in there or not, can language be included in the agreement that says the town will first send to this property owner certified mail notifying the property owner that the town has been made aware of their failure to maintain the area. And so the town intends to come in and do such maintenance. And since they are responsible per their deed, that they will have to pay the town for doing the maintenance. And then have the letter give the property owner, this notice that it will be happening and give them time to respond and perhaps actually do the maintenance. And if they fail to respond and fail to do the maintenance, and then the town comes in, would the town invoice them first? And then if they don't pay the invoice, then the town would lastly lien the property. So those are my questions and suggestions and clarification.
Okay, we'll have them take notes of that. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment at this point? Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone in opposition? Any other questions? You want to respond to that, to those questions, Jennifer, if you can?
Sure. Just Mrs. White, with regard to your first question about who's going to be responsible, is it going to be one property owner? The note that I referenced, and I know you're very good at looking at the meeting materials, but in the plan itself, there's a plan sheet. Again, it's the site development plan, and it's note 16 on that plan that basically sets the obligation on the individual property owners for those stormwater management facilities that are on their own property. So the individual property owners who do have stormwater management areas, rain gardens, and such, they will be responsible for those facilities that are on their property. And as far as the enforcement, all of the above. Yeah, that's all in there because that's pretty standard stuff. And I did reference that in my initial comments that in the agreement, there is obviously notice provisions as well as an opportunity to cure. That's fundamental because, we talk about people, people's due process rights. Mr. Chair, we can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm good now, I think.
You're good.
Yep. Okay, Jennifer, very good. Does that, Mary, does that satisfy your questions?
Yes, it does. And I just wanted to make a comment regarding the proposal itself. I forgot to say this, that I am always in favor of a proposal that is in conjunction with the zoning of the actual property. So proper proposal and development versus overdevelopment. So thank you.
Okay, very good, Mary, thank you. Is there anyone else now that has any speaking from the public? Okay, then that is it. We will just take this up in deliberation.
Hold on, Vern.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Are you going to continue it or are you going to close it?
Well, I can't close it. I got to take this.
Fair enough. Okay.
I can't close it.
But if we're going to continue it, do we do it now or if you go into deliberations, I think you do end up closing it, don't you?
Well, no, I'm not going to close it in any event, Jim, but I can continue it right now. Make a motion to continue it. We do it.
I don't care. You want to do it in deliberations?
Well, last month, that's what we did. This month, you want to do it now? Do it. I'm fine.
I don't believe that you did do that last month. You don't typically move to continue in deliberation. You typically move to continue.
I think you expressed,
that's what I said, yeah.
I think you expressed an inclination to continue it and then you fulfilled that in deliberations. You can do that again.
Okay.
Why don't I just make a motion that pursuant to the governor's order 7-1 and the authority granted therein in section 19 that we continue this to the next month.
Good enough.
May I make a comment being the attorney for the applicant?
Yes.
Before we do this? Because Mr. Carlson, you had said you wanted to make sure that everybody was good with every other aspect of this proposal and that it was just about this agreement itself. I want to see if there's a way that we can put that into being continued for the sole purpose of this agreement and not going through anything else. There's been no opposition here tonight or anything as to keep this going on and on and on.
We're not going to go on and on and on. This is the end of it.
You have the motion that I'm making. You want to withdraw the motion? We can vote on it.
I'm just asking to qualify the continuation.
Say again, I'm sorry.
I was just asking to qualify the continuation as Mr. Carlson had stated prior to all this discussion. It's saying I want to make sure we're good with every other aspect and it's just the agreement that we're talking about. So I'm just trying to get a clarification.
I'm going to try to get to that. I'm going to try to get to it here.
This is Brian. I'll second Jim's motion.
Okay, very good. Jim, where are you now? You want to continue this?
That's it. I want to continue it to next month. That's just
we got to continue, and I got a second. All in favor? Jennifer?
I believe you want me to take a roll call at this point, Mr. Chair. Is that why you're calling on me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Vern Carlson?
Yes.
Rich Wilson?
Yes.
Jim Gilletti?
Aye.
Brian Cummings?
Yes.
And I believe that, Mr. Frederickson, you said Paul Wyman is sitting, correct?
That is correct.
Paul Wyman.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0 to continue to the next scheduled commission meeting.
Now, can we, since we're doing that, can we please have a motion and a second and a vote for the subdivision application as well?
I'll make the same motion for the subdivision application. This is Jim Giletti.
Brian? You want a second?
I will second Jim's motion for the subdivision application.
Good enough. Jennifer?
Vern Carlson,
Yes.
Rich Wilson,
Yes.
Jim Giletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Yes.
and Paul Wyman.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Can we move on? Brian, would you read in P20-37S?
Okay, Vern, this is P20-37S. Continuation of the special permit application of 37 Nettleton Avenue, LLC, applicant and owner relative to 37 Nettleton Avenue, map 11, lot 56, plan entitled Proposed Change of Use, 37 Nettleton Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Godfrey Hoffman Hodge, LLC, dated 11/6/2020, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, IL 30 zoning district.
Okay, let the record show that we're going to be taking the site plan, which is P20-37. Brian, you want to read that in? That's number 6.
Sure. P20-37, continuation of the site plan application of 37 Nettleton Avenue, LLC, applicant and owner relative to 37 Nettleton Avenue, map 11, lot 56, plan entitled Proposed Change of Use, 37 Nettleton Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Godfrey Hoffman Hodge, LLC, dated 11/6/2020, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, IL 30 zoning district.
Okay, is there, thank you, Brian. Is there someone here to present the application?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is Jim Rotundo, licensed professional engineer with Godfrey Hoffman Hodge, with offices located at 26 Broadway in North Haven. Also with me tonight is Kristen Parsons, who is one of the owners and operators of the wine manufacturing business, which will be named Small Batch Cellars. At the last meeting, we were requested to provide some additional information on the proposed use, as well as the type of permit that would be requested from the Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection. The permit that will be requested is for the manufacturer of wine, cider, and mead. To kind of recap the use, the area it's going to consist of is an approximately 1,360 square foot manufacturing area, which will consist of the barrel and tank room, with another approximately 300 square foot area, tasting area. Now, their objective and the goal here is to create a boutique winery that produces unique and unusual small batches of wine for predominantly will be distributed through wine club sales and private labels. As I said, there is a tasting room. It will be available for customers to come in and try their wines. They don't anticipate it to be a destination location, as many other wine manufacturers or vineyards are, just because of the size of the tasting room. The wines, once manufactured at the site, will actually be shipped, will be sent up to Hartford, where they will be bottled and shipped. There are no plans, as I had indicated the last meeting, for food trucks, outside seating, or music included in the application. This permit that they are requesting, it allows them, just to kind of summarize, the statute that the permit is regulated under was attached to the additional information we provided. But just to summarize, it allows for wine sale in bulk from the premises, sale to retailers in original sealed containers of no more than 15 gallons, the offering of tasting of free samples to customers for consumption on premises, sale of retail sealed bottles for consumption off premises, retail sales by glass and bottle for consumption on premises, and delivery to customers directly in the state. So I mean, that's the information we've provided. If there's certainly any questions from the commission for myself or for Kristen, we'd be happy to answer those.
Well, I just have I guess the permit that you are seeking, or the permit that goes with this type of thing, is a very broad permit. It allows you to do a lot of things that I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with going on there. It's very, very broad, and I'll have Alan speak to you later on when we get to that. But it's a very broad licensing, I should say. Have you spoken with the person that was here last month in opposition to this, that lives across the street? Have you done anything with them at all?
I have not. I'd have to defer that to Kristen. If you're on that, Kristen, if you or Mike had spoken to the neighbor there.
We have not spoken to him.
You have not. Okay.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I know one of the concerns was, and the term package store was being thrown around. That is, I mean, this is not a facility that will have, wines displayed on a shelf, that type of thing that's typical for a package store. It is strictly wine, small batches produced on site. There's not a variety of other liquors. So from that perspective, traffic, people visiting the site, it's anticipated to be minimal. Again, the market they're looking for is private labels, where they would sell it to bulk to a retailer who would relabel it under their label, or through wine club sales. And thus, as I had indicated, the wine being shipped to Hartford, where it will be bottled and shipped out from there. So I think the predominant market is more of a mail order type of business rather than on-premises sales.
I understand what you're saying, but when we put in a license there, and if we approve this, it gives you the latitude to, if not you, someone else could come in and do the same thing, only on a much broader level, under the license that goes along with this type of thing. But I'm going to let the commission go around the commission and let the public come in on this again. Unless you want Chris to speak, you want Chris to speak now?
Kristen, do you have anything to add? Just, Mr. Chairman, on that, this is a special permit. And I mean, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're defining a space within the building here for these uses. You mentioned that if somebody else comes in, takes over the licenses, and I'm Kristen, if I'm speaking out of turn on this, I don't know if it's directly transferable, if it's in their name. But so it's pretty specific on who the operator could be and the area within this building that they could operate under. So as far as if another user comes in, again, if I'm speaking out of turn, Alan, let me know that they'd have to come back to you for a new special permit, as well as new licensing through the state. So you would have some control over that. So I think it may relieve some of that. You're reviewing an application here for this use, this special permit use. So the applicant would be pretty locked in on that.
Okay.
Jim, if I can just ask you, I think that my issue is in section 4, paragraph A, with this, and it's not so much the transfer of the permit, but the operation of this permit. It appears that they could sell wine that was manufactured in another location under this permit. And I'm just not sure what limitations there would be on that, or if it's something that would need to be independently conditioned.
Kristen, can you confirm that? As I'm reading that also, Alan, and I see your point there. Kristen, can you comment on that?
I can't confirm that, but I believe under manufacturing, you have to manufacture the wine yourselves in the facility.
And I think,
Excuse me, can I have your
Oh, go ahead.
okay, this is Jim Rotundo again. Alan, I think if Kristen would be okay with it, that if that would be a condition of approval, that it would be all on-site manufactured.
Now, the question I would have, and maybe it's more a question for legal, is this: if this is approved with a particular condition, just hypothetically, striking paragraph 4, uses A and B, and Kristen's entity approaches the ZEO to sign off on their permit, is there a venue to eliminate some portion of that permit within that form? Is it possible to alter the form? How would we sort of police that, if you will?
That's going out to town council, correct? Alan?
I guess at some point, yeah. The understanding that Jim has clipped this section of statute that is pretty clear and quite articulated, if you will, but when that form does come in to staff to sign, I've never seen a real way to eliminate a portion of it, or to provide an attachment, or what have you with that. And this was sort of my concern from the start. I don't know. It seemed to me that the public input last month centered around turning it into something, or this turning into something that was above and beyond what is being described. So again, a kind of cautious nature, and rightly so, of the commission is, how do we convince the neighbors and that particular member of the public who is interested that those types of things would not happen. So I guess that's my question. How do we assure them that?
I don't think you can alter that permit. That's no different than a certificate of location. You can't say you can do only so much of it. Whatever it is, Jennifer.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Alan, about it.
Jennifer, I don't think you can alter that. For me, in any event, I don't think you can.
Well, I think we can't alter the state permit, but we could put limitations on our permit, can't we? It's a special permit they're asking for us for. So
I agree with you, Jim.
Yeah, I agree with that, but
and just so that I don't think anybody. Well, I certainly don't have any problem with the manufacturer being used, but if I understood the neighbor's problem, who I know is here, the issue is the tasting room. That's the whole thing. It's like, and you're kind of telling us it's a really small room, and you're not going to do much with the tasting room. That's my understanding of what the concern is, that the tasting room turns into a bar or into a festival area or someplace people are going to go and play and have music and food trucks and all this stuff. And my understanding is that he was looking for some way of assuring him that this is very, very limited and he's not going to be listening to music all night. That's what I thought was the concern.
From there.
Again, Jim Rotundo, Mr. Chairman. As I had stated, playing of music and having this turn into a bar atmosphere is not the intention of it. As I said, Kristen Parsons is here. If Kristen would like to speak and just, give the owners perspective on what they anticipate and what they envision for their establishment to be.
I guess I can reiterate, I think you've said it, but I'll say it in my own words. Our design for small batch cellars, our concept is to create unique, unusual wines, perhaps rare styles of wine in small batches, and plan to mainly through a wine club distribute them or private labels for restaurants, businesses. Also, we created a manufacturing facility. As you mentioned, the tasting room is just a small space. So we didn't create a space for a destination, or we don't have the space for a destination. We plan to establish a distribution system that's safe for this time during COVID, and it will persist on for our company in the future. So the taste for the space for the tasting room is smaller than an average kitchen, and it can only accommodate a few customers if they even happen to come by to purchase the wine. They could have a spot to taste it, but it's probably can only fit around 6 customers at a time. And there's no space outside. There's a small sidewalk, so there's no space for tables. So there's no space for, I want to call it loitering or hanging out and consuming wine on the property.
I'm sorry, for the record, the person that just spoke, can you tell me your name and what company you're with?
Oh, Kristen Parsons with Small Batch Cellars, 37 Nettleton Avenue.
Thank you.
This is Rod Williams. I have a question about that, actually. So the project narrative supplement that we got makes reference to offering glasses and bottles for consumption on the premises. And I just want to understand clearly whether that's going to happen and bottles will be sold to be consumed, because that's a little bit different to me than just tasting.
We don't have a space for drinking wine and consuming on the property, but we'll have a small tasting room just for tasting the wine to buy bottles to take home.
So bottles won't be sold on the premises for consumption?
Not for consumption on the premises.
Okay. Because the project, this narrative says that. So I don't know if that's something that the commission can address in a condition of approval, but I just want everyone to be aware that that's in there.
Is that what it says? Jim?
Is Vern speaking? I can't hear him.
Hey,
Looks
Vern, I
like
have a
Vern's
question.
speaking, but he's muted. Vern, you're muted.
No. Am I muted too?
Hold on.
Nope.
Go ahead. I was speaking there, but
Okay.
Go ahead, Rod. I'll speak to you after. Go ahead, Richie, go. Rich Wilson.
Okay. So my question is, with this coronavirus, bars are closed. They can't just sell liquor in a bar. You have to have food service in order to be open. How would this tasting room get around that if you're going to allow patrons to come in and taste wine? You're not going to restrict them to just 2 sips and then leave. That's one of my concerns about bringing the idea might start out, oh no, we're not going to have food, but you can't serve the liquor without some kind of food being served at the same time. I mean, unless I'm wrong about the ruling about bars and restaurants right now. I thought that was the sticky point about a bar that is closed up. So that's my question for right now.
Okay, good enough. Okay, thank you.
If I could just offer up, in terms of reading section D under paragraph 2, under the statute definition, It does say the offering and tasting of free samples of such products dispensed out of bottles or containers having capacity of not more than 2 gallons per bottle or container to visitors, prospective retail customers for consumption on premises. So I guess as I read that, I feel a little more comfortable. You can't pay for a sample. So if you're going to consume anything on the property, you can't pay for it. It has to be given to you. And I assume that's similar to what you see in our local liquor store. If you go down on a Saturday evening and they have free samples. Well, they can't charge you for that sample, but they could give you a taste. So I guess to answer the question, no, I don't believe you can buy a bottle and sit there under the guise that's tasting in the tasting room. A taste is a taste and it's free.
Alan, that isn't what was said last month.
Right, and I'd like to hear that from, I agree, Vern. I'd like to hear that from the applicant. Is that accurate? Can somebody not go in there and buy a glass of wine?
No, they can come in and taste wine and buy a bottle to go.
Okay, so if they get a glass of wine, it would be given to them as a sample free. There is no buying of liquor other than buy a bottle and leave.
Yes.
That right?
Kristen, did I misunderstand you last month then? You said that it was, you had to purchase the wine to be drank.
Jim Turner here. Kristen was not on the call last meeting, so I may have misrepresented the tasting room. If they could have a glass of wine there, that would have been on me. So Kristen can clarify what the operation is in the tasting room.
So,
can I ask a question? Given what you want to do there, would you have any objection to a limitation that there be no entertainment allowed? You know, like singers, dance, music of any kind?
Yes.
All right, that works for me.
Okay, well, I'm not satisfied yet, so in any event, it's the way it is. Yes, by all means, Rich, go ahead.
Does a jukebox constitute entertainment? Is a jukebox?
Well, it was just my suggestion, Rich. I don't know. We can fine tune it any way we want, I guess. But.
Okay.
And where were you going with that question, Rich?
I'm sorry?
Who are you directing that question to?
Well, I guess I would be to the applicant. You know, it is a jukebox. I understand what a guitar player is and a band, but is a jukebox or some kind of mechanical musical machine in the tasting room, is that considered entertaining or music, amusement?
Well, the tasting room is inside concrete walls, so I think if there was a jukebox or electronic music playing, that it wouldn't be heard very far away.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Is there? Sorry, Vern, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah.
Paul?
Yes.
You have any
I
comments?
just, I have the same concerns about, this turning into a bar where they have a lot of people coming in and out. But if we could limit the special application for just North Haven, just this facility, then maybe we could get around it with that. But
yeah, I thought a very strong, outspoken neighbor that we're going to listen to in a few minutes here.
right, yeah, I understand. I understand his view as well. So.
Brian?
Yes, Vern. Brian Cummings. What your initial comment was about the statute, and the statute is very broad, and probably allows for a lot of things that these folks don't want to do or aren't going to do. But we don't know that, and it's not written down. And I think what Paul just alluded to is maybe, and what's been alluded to is, if we can somehow make it so these things can't happen. and go from there. But again, I don't know if we can do that. And again, is this like a certificate of location? If some person sells, does the license continue to the next person, or does a new person have to come for another license who may or may not do different things? Even just the wording on the last page of the Godfrey Hoffman page, there are no current plans for food trucks. Current.
Correct.
Why can't you say there's no plans for food trucks? I mean,
it's pretty clear to me in any event. But okay, Brian, are you satisfied with?
I was muted. Yeah, Brian Cummings again. The section 30-16D is very broad. That's all I can say right now. I mean, thanks.
Okay, let me get out to the public here. Alan, you have something to add here?
Well, I was just going back to the initial concern about sales of products that weren't manufactured there. They have indicated that they have no intention of doing that, but as I look at possible conditions of approval, no entertainment is one of them. Is no sales of products that were not manufactured on site. Is that another one?
Yeah, you think we could come up with those to vote on this?
Well, I don't know, perhaps, but that's a larger concern of mine. And it seemed to me that the neighbor, the member of the public, was concerned about it, becoming another liquor store. And I don't,
certainly what I was thinking.
I'm concerned about that myself, or obviating, our regulations relative to that. If we're going to begin to condition the special permit, we're not going to be able to condition that form.
I think you're exactly right on that.
We can definitely condition the special permit and the approval letter. No food trucks, no entertainment, no sales of any product produced off site. Could be any number of things that none of which have they said they want to do, but it makes sense to me to somehow ensure that.
Yeah, this is Paul Wyman again. I think one of the neighbors' concerns was the hours and concern of having much, traffic up and down that street. I think those are a couple of things that he had mentioned. So, the hours. Are the hours going to be the same as a liquor store, or is it going to be the same as a restaurant? Does anybody know that?
We don't have hours per se yet. We just put down what we were able to, like the hours we are permitted to be open, but I'm thinking we're not going to have such late hours, not going to have those liquor store hours because no one's really going to be coming. It's just, we put them in because that's what we were permitted to do. But we do have to manufacture the product on site. We cannot bring in another product. We have to manufacture it ourselves. If that's helpful.
Thank you very much, Kristen.
Brian, I do have a question.
Is the commission satisfied at this point?
Brian, I do have a question, Brian Cummings.
Sure.
Does the tasting have to be done on that site? And that's for the applicants.
I believe you can do tastings off-site with a special permit. I think if it's a free tasting, somebody else could have a permit like at the liquor store and they could do it, but you do have to obtain a separate permit to do tastings off-site.
Vern, this is Brian Cummings again. And Kristen, you are just trying to get your product tasted. So where it's tasted is, how important is that?
It's very important. We have, we're going to manufacture it in Hartford and bottle it there and hopefully, figure out a way to get it tasted. But right now, yes, we only have the small little room and not many people are going to come. So you have a point there, but that's our business plan to deal with, I guess.
I don't think that there's a real issue per se, if I'm understanding you, Brian, bringing the product off-site to some other location for tasting. This is a certificate of location for this particular site. So if they were talking about bringing it down to a local liquor store and offering free samples, then that is subject to the restrictions at that liquor store. So if they take it off site, if it's a site that doesn't have a liquor permit, then they need a temporary liquor permit or permission if there was some charitable function or what have you. But I don't think that's covered under this permit.
It's not.
Thank you, Alan. Vern, that's kind of where I was going, Alan. I just wanted to see if something could be done some way. In fact, there are probably more customers there.
Okay, is the commission satisfied with the question at the moment? Okay. Is there anybody out there who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in favor? Is there anyone in opposition?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sir. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Michael Gray. I live at 32 Nettleton Avenue, North Haven. We go right across the street. We go from this location, and it's not just myself. It may appear here. We call it with the Zoom and what's going on. I've spoken to my immediate neighbor here. He's not happy with this thing happening either. And so we go, and I'm sure if I keep looking and then tell people what's going on here, who's aware, who isn't aware, how they would feel about having increased traffic and stuff. And it was mentioned at the last meeting, the exact hours. They were talking 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., Wednesday through Friday. Saturday, which really may be the most angry of all, which was going to operate from 12 p.m. in the afternoon till 9 p.m. at night. Then Sunday, they want to go from 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. at night. Those were the times, and it could be replayed on the last meeting that we had because it was recorded. And we call it. It's just don't want having strange cars coming up and down the street here. And then also another thing, they said that the license also was expanded. They're talking that mead could be made, and we call a hard cider could be made. So it could be expanded on too. What they can manufacture. And these are my basic points. We go having strangers down here. I'm not the only one who's not happy about this, and what this could morph into. And just to also give another example, I'm not taking off the past of other people of what they've done, but right next door to me is what was supposed to be just a warehouse. The warehouse has turned into we call like a manufacturing facility. And over the years, I've had a lot of problems, and especially with it operating. And it ran late into the night at one time. But luckily now it ceases at 5 o'clock in the evening. And then also with their operation there, they're already operating from like 6 o'clock in the morning in the summertime. They do landscaping. And then so then when the landscaping stops at about 5 p.m., which I'm very grateful for, then this thing is going to start kicking into gear until 9 o'clock at night. And this is my point. That it doesn't turn into a carnival, that we have strange people down here, the hours of operation. We call it. Now I'm hearing tonight, newly, that they could expand what they can manufacture. So if the wine doesn't work out, maybe we'll try hard cider. If that doesn't work out, we'll try mead. It sounds like it can expand right there. These are my points. These are my issues. And also one more last thing. All right, I've been here since 1968. My neighbor's been here since 1980. And we're not asking for the world here. We were here first. And it doesn't sound to me right that some company can come in and do anything they want and monopolize the whole neighborhood. But those are my issues.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are your neighbors there?
No, but he tells me to keep him informed. I'm not sure if he's computer savvy, has a computer, but I will inform him of what has transpired tonight.
Yeah. That's all well and good, but we would like to hear from him when we have a meeting going on.
All right.
I know you're here. I know you're here, and I know what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about one neighbor on one side and one neighbor on the other side. I mean, maybe it's up and down the whole street. I don't know. But if they don't,
Well,
speak,
I could get a petition going. I could get this thing going. You tell me what I need to do to make sure that this thing doesn't turn into a carnival. You tell me what I got to do.
I cannot tell you what to do. I can only try to protect you and your right to live there and live there comfortably.
Thank you.
Is my goal here, as well as the applicant. I want to satisfy the applicant. If I can't satisfy everybody here, then we'll have a good thing. If we don't, well, then who knows?
Right.
But, in any event, you'll be the only one there that you have to speak tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to this? Is there anyone that has any questions?
Yes, this is Mary White.
Okay, Mary, speak up, please.
Okay, Mary White, Summer Lane. So I wanted to ask a question regarding section 2 of the permit, letter F. It reads, the sale at retail from the premises of such products by the glass and bottle to visitors on the premises of the permittee for consumption on the premises. So letter D talks about the free samples. So I think the one concern might be that people would linger, okay, because they're able to consume a glass of wine of which they're buying. So I don't know if that can be more like specified under the special permit conditions, that, you know, about the glass being sold for consumption on the premises. So that's something I want to ask about that. And I did have a suggestion under the special permit conditions. We heard no entertainment, no food trucks. Can you add no outside music? Although we heard that there's no space outside for customers to hang around. We did hear that they could have or would have music inside the tasting room and that the building's concrete, so you wouldn't hear it. But I would feel more comfortable, and I'm sure the neighbors would feel more comfortable if it was added the no outside music. And relative to the section 4 that Alan was referring to about other products other than what they're manufacturing. So that can be added as well, I think, under the special permit conditions. So no sales of products not manufactured on site. Can we add that only wine products will be manufactured on site and sold on site or off site? Because then this way it's really getting specific. And I think that will help. But, you know, I think that what they're proposing, you know, my only concern is that under the COVID restrictions, it does specifically talk about bars, and bars, you know, they can't sell any alcohol without food. So are they able to open their business under the current COVID restrictions? And then like the free samples, they can offer the free samples, but wouldn't the current COVID restrictions prevent them from selling the glasses of wine to be consumed on the premises? So that's a question that I have. And another question I have is, when do they expect to open? And I think if the special permit conditions include all those things, I think it should satisfy, you know, the neighbors. It's going to be quiet, you know what I mean? So even if they are open, the hours in which have written on the project narrative there, I don't see how the neighbors could possibly hear what's going on, you know, and what they're doing. So anyway, those are my comments.
Okay, so Mary, just let me ask you one question here. It sounds to me as though you're in favor of this if we put your comments in.
Well, I think you have to be very careful because the neighbor is very concerned about his, you know, rights to peaceful enjoyment of his home. And I think if this is structured in such a way where I understand you can't strike things out of that manufacturer permit, but you do have control as the commission regarding, because they're seeking this special permit conditions, a special permit from the commission. So I think, you know, based on what I'm seeing here, if you add no outside music, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Okay.
You could, maybe you could add no outside seating as well in case they want to put some tables out there.
You have no permit.
I'm sorry?
I say if we keep adding, there'll be no permit.
Oh, yeah, there'll be no permit. Right.
Okay, Mary, thank you very much.
Yeah, just my comments were just trying to, you know, let them function. And then, but also the neighbors are able to not be, you know, having their peaceful enjoyment, you know, invaded. And that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Is there anyone else that has a comment or not in favor of this? Okay, hearing none, then we will close it to the public at the moment, just at the moment. There's an awful lot of questions in respect to this, as you can hear, and I don't think that we can address all these questions tonight, that's for sure. Unless the applicant, would you like to address some of the, Kristen, would you like to address some of the questions that Mary had asked and the neighbors had asked there?
I will do my best to remember all the questions. So
awful. I was hoping you were taking notes on that. I was not. Got ahead of
I'm going to
me.
use my memory. So the question about the permit for to make something other than wine, it's just the permit. That's how it comes: wine, cider, and mead. Cider and mead are pretty much wine. They're just made out of apples and honey. I don't plan to do that, but it's the same thing as wine. It's made the same way, fermented the same way. So it's actually the same thing, just made out of something other than grapes. But we don't plan on making anything other than wine. So that's question one. Let's see, his other question. I wish I could remember.
No.
I think we addressed the music question. And as for selling glasses and food, we don't have a space for selling glasses of wine for people to sit and drink them. So I don't think the food will be necessary. I just don't think that I need to address that because we won't be selling glasses. Enough the other questions. Anybody remember?
The hours of operation.
Oh, the hours. As I mentioned earlier, we just wrote those down. But as the neighbor was saying, the hours it's going to be indoors and in like a wine cellar in solid concrete. So I suppose the hours wouldn't be a big deal if someone came in to taste wine and buy a bottle. But I suppose we could also work with the hours if they wanted to change that or put that in writing. What else? There was section 4. Section 4. That's all I could address because I can't remember.
I understand, Kristen. It's tough to understand, to remember all those questions. Yeah.
I should have written them down. Thank you.
Yeah. In notes and you'd be lost there. But in any event, Alan, you have any questions in respect to this now?
I don't think so, Vern. Thank you.
And Jim? I know you've been kind of quiet there.
Yeah, no, I'm good, actually. I think we could limit it, but whatever way you want to do it, I'm good for now.
Okay, good enough. Brian, and are you good for the moment, or?
I'm good. I'm good for the moment right now, Vern. Thank you.
Paul?
Yes, I'm good for the moment.
Yeah, and Rich?
I'm good for the moment.
Okay, then I think we should continue this and to get a little more information.
Vern, I don't have any problem with that. What information are you anticipating?
I want to, well, exactly what Mary was trying to go down a laundry list of things that you can't do. You can't do this, you can't do that. And there's no way that we could, I don't think we can come up with enough information tonight or to satisfy. The real person here that we got to satisfy is the neighbor, is to try to make the neighbor satisfied with what they're hearing from the applicant, is what I think.
Yeah, this is Paul Wyman. I think that we really have to nail down the hours. And it's very, I think somebody mentioned it before, this is very broad, the statute definitions. So, and the only thing that prevents them from selling anything more strong than wine and cider is the level of alcohol, that's the percentage of alcohol that's permitted. But, if they have a small room, they can't, where are they going to put the guitar player and all that they're talking about? So just.
Yeah, that's kind of their point, that it's so little that they really couldn't do anything. I like I said, I don't, however we want to do it.
Yeah.
I think we could, I agree the statute is broad, but I think we could limit the special permit to all the things that we're talking about. But if you want them to list it, whatever, I don't care if we don't do it until next month. That's not the point. But they said they don't want to sell by the glass, so we could limit it, no selling by the glass. They said they don't want entertainment, so we can put no entertainment. They said they don't want any food, we can put no food. But if you think there should be more than that, I'm okay. I'm open to that too, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Just the hours should be defined. Paul Wyman again. The hours need to be more defined. You don't want anyone, you're talking about 9 o'clock at night, and
okay.
Sometimes I'm already in bed at 9 o'clock at night.
Well, actually, it's 9 o'clock now. So you think if we put all this together tonight, Paul or Rich, you want to continue this? You want to continue this?
Yeah. You want me to make a motion to continue this?
No, I'm just asking you if you think that's a good idea or not.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, Vern.
Yes.
Okay. Then I will take a motion.
Ask one question, please.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question, please? Jim Rotundo?
By all means, of course.
Looking at information you're looking for, I think we've narrowed it down to just the hours of operation. I think some of the other concerns we've talked about, I think the applicant is agreement with his conditions. Can we get some guidance from the commission on, it seems like the applicant is flexible on those hours of operation. Is there some guidance we could get which would be acceptable to the commission so that, we could nail down that information rather than come back and the commission not being happy with those hours we're proposing?
Well, frankly, I don't think I can put that. I couldn't put it together tonight to say what I feel comfortable. I'm concerned about those neighbors.
No, I get it, but I think he's asking you if you want him to come back. I
know. I got you. I got you, Jim. I understand exactly. The guidance is, he heard the list that Mary had, and that's just.
But if we don't give him any idea, how is he supposed to come back and tell us what hours we want?
He's got a good idea, I think. We need the hours of operation. We need all the things we discussed.
Paul Wyman again. I just have one more thing. Krista was saying that they manufacture it there, so they need to stay open later. Maybe you have two different levels. One set of hours where people could come in, and one set of hours where they could manufacture.
I agree with that. It's the real issue is the tasting room and what the limited hours are for the tasting room, it would seem, or wherever the public comes in.
Okay. Well, I want to move this along, gentlemen. If we could, I'd like to continue it to next month in any event. Can I get a motion from you, Jim?
I was ready to do the limitations. I'll agree with the motion, but I'm not making
Okay. Okay, Jim. Can I get a motion to continue the next month?
I'll make a motion to continue this application until next month.
Sure. How about a second?
I'll second it. Paul Wyman. Second.
Okay. Jennifer?
Vern Carlson,
Yes.
Rich Wilson,
Yes.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Yes.
Paul Wyman.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
Similarly, can we continue the site plan at this time?
Yes. I mean, just marking that to do that. Can I get a motion to continue the site plan?
I will make a motion to, this is Brian, I'll make the motion to continue the site plan till this application.
Second?
And this is Rich Wilson. I'll second it, Vern.
Okay. Jennifer?
Vern Carlson,
Yes.
Rich Wilson,
Yes.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Yes.
and Paul Wyman.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, commission members. One thing, Alan Frederickson,
Yes.
I have got a ringing on my
Yeah, somebody's phone's ringing in there.
I've got this too. I've been trying to figure out where that's coming from.
It seems to be system connected. It comes on when certain people are talking. It's weird. I get it too all the time.
I got it steady, Jim. Steady ringing.
There it goes again.
Vern, there's nothing that you're hearing there at your location, is there? Is there ringing?
Except on the computer.
Yeah, because it's just showing Rich, Vern. Yeah, I mean, those are the folks. Everybody else is muted.
I took Rich out earlier and it didn't help in that regard.
Yeah,
Vern, talk again. I want to see if the noise goes.
Yes, Jim. Is the noise still?
It's still ringing.
I don't know what the heck it could be. I shut my cell phone right down.
No, it's not the cell phone. Something's weird going on. Because when he talks, I hear that ring too. It's maddening.
Vern, do you mind if we take you out for a moment?
Go ahead. Take that.
I have muted
Does anybody
Vern.
hear it now? I think it's
No,
Vern's
it's
system.
stopped. It's definitely Vern.
Yeah, it's definitely Vern's.
It might be, just Paul Wyman, it might be the type of internet ISP he's got. So
Yeah.
if it's through the phone company, it might be.
So it's definitely when he talks, it comes on. It's crazy.
There was an episode of The Twilight Zone like this.
Hey, there was.
Perhaps I can get him to
Maybe you can take him to your house, Alan.
Well, I was groping for another alternative, but if we could, maybe Vern could reconnect. Let me give him a quick call.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's his connection for sure.
Well, if he calls in from his cell, it probably would go away.
Mine is stopped. No, it didn't.
It's ringing.
It's ringing. I had my phone shut down.
Yeah, it's not your phone. It's your connection. Something's wrong. When you talk, the ringing comes on everybody.
Talk fast, Vern.
I'm just listening to it, and it's ringing.
Vern, can you possibly disconnect and reconnect?
I can give it a shot. Hang on a second.
We will hang on.
Vern, I also sent you the meeting invite via email. So remember how I showed you how to connect via your phone?
Yeah.
I could talk you through it if you need me to.
I got it.
Okay, that's the start. We just need to get him back. Presumably.
Are you going to have them try to call in or come in regularly? Well, let's see what happens.
Probably got maybe problem unless he dials in from his cell phone.
I didn't know if just getting a re-rack and coming back in might help. I don't know.
Yeah, that might work.
He probably went out for a glass of wine.
Kind of like a remake of the Apollo 13 movie there, but Vern, are you there, Vern? He seemed to have someone there to assist him. Perhaps he's engaging that person right now. With any luck, it's his grandson.
This is like the Apollo 13, waiting for the re-entry.
No chairman has ever been gone for more than 4 minutes. Okay, there he is. Right there.
Okay, folks. Am I back?
You're back.
All right.
And
the
I
ring
hear no.
stopped somewhere in the midst of, before I shut down even. I don't have a clue.
I don't hear any ringing. Let's.
Well, I'm happy.
Good. Good job.
I got it. No, the phone's back. And yes, thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Let's see if we can regroup here. We are now down to number 4, Brian. Number 4, P20-39.
P20-39, application of Desiree Savo, applicant, proposed amendment to North Haven zoning regulations to add section 3.2.1.10 to permit private health and wellness centers in office zone, O-zones. The proposed amendment is on file in the land use office and in the office of the town clerk.
Okay. Is there someone here to speak to this application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Dennis Senaviva.
Okay, Dennis, how you doing?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if I'm on. Hold on. You said Asia Bogan Dennison, correct?
No, not yet, Aja.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in dance class, so I keep running out to check. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Dennis, are you with us?
Sure, I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, members of the commission, for your record, my name is Dennis Senaviva. I'm an attorney with the Senaviva Law Firm, and I represent the petitioner. The petitioner is on with us. I see from the invites tonight's meeting, Desiree, she is the petitioner and owner of a company that provides the services that would be permitted under the proposed amendment. And before I begin, Mr. Carlson, I just wanted to point out and acknowledge the assistance from your land use administrator and staff. They were very helpful in the drafting process, and I wanted to acknowledge that. The petitioner seeks to add another permitted use in the Office O district. As you note from the text, the proposal is to add subsection 3.2.1.10, and that is to allow private health and wellness centers specializing in permanent and semi-permanent cosmetics such as medical micropigmentation, microblading and eyelash extensions, and scar camouflage. A tattoo parlor is not permitted pursuant to this subsection. Please note that section 3.2.1.9, which is the section or the subsection just immediately before this proposal, does permit medically based health and wellness centers. They must be affiliated with a hospital or other healthcare institution. This proposal would extend this use to private health and wellness centers while limiting its application to certain specialties as recited in the proposed regulation. Now, the reason that we suggest for adoption of this petition is really two, I think, fairly simple, yet hopefully persuasive arguments for the approval. The first is that the office district is designed primarily for professional and business offices and financial institutions, as your regulations point out. And as I think we all know, that even prior to the pandemic, many cities and towns suffered from a glut of empty office buildings. This problem had become substantially more acute with a large number of office workers working from home now during the pandemic. Many businesses, such as Facebook, for example, large businesses and small, have indicated a desire to maintain this working condition of keeping their staff and employees home, even post-pandemic, again, which should result in the continuation of the glut of office space. This proposal offers another valuable use that is consistent with the overall concept of office zoning, in that the services provided are provided in a professional office with services by appointment only, conducted in a private setting. The second reason for this proposal, I think if you've read, I'm sure you've had the opportunity to read the 3 letters that are identified as Exhibit 2 on our agenda, on agenda item number 4, you can feel the emotion expressed by the women who wrote them as they explain the reasons they support the petitioner's services and the benefits these services provide. One was written by a woman with a Master of Science in Public Health who worked at the Smilo Cancer Center at Yale New Haven Hospital, and she talked about her experience. One by a woman who is a breast cancer survivor and had a total mastectomy, and talked about, again, her interaction with the applicant and the services provided. And a third by the woman who is a breast mammographer from Smilo Breast Imaging at Yale New Haven Hospital. They tell a story about the work done by the petitioner, the services provided, calling it, in 2 of the letters at least, life-altering or life-changing for women in the Cancer Society. So this text amendment would permit Desiree and others like her to have their own professional studios in North Haven. One of the things that was clear in conversations with your land use administrator was to make certain that even though the services such as micropigmentation and some of the other activities do involve tattooing, 3D areola pigmentation, for example, the text language very clearly prohibits a classic tattoo parlor in this zone. So it's really designed for this specific health and wellness needs where services are provided for permanent and semi-permanent cosmetics, and examples are given. So again, Mr. Chairman, I think it's a fairly straightforward proposal. It's one that will allow office districts to be used and occupied by private health and wellness centers that are designed exactly to provide these sorts of services, and I think they'd be provided in a sort of environment that appears very clearly to be a professional office. So it would be consistent with your overall zone. I know Desiree's on this meeting. She may want to add if you do anything about your involvement. I know you come from North Haven, and I think you're anxious to return.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I mean, I hope that I have the opportunity to be able to function out of North Haven with all of your guys' approval.
Is this this is Vern Carlson speaking to you. Is this this is big enough area? You know, it's a very small space there. Is big enough to what you need?
Oh, yeah. Yep. It's just me by myself, and I have one client at a time. So definitely spacious enough.
Mm-hmm. And you operating now, you are working with someone now?
Yep. I'm out of a hair salon in Wallingford, and I've been in operation for 5 years. Currently, I'm right down the street in Wallingford.
You stay pretty busy there, do you?
I am booked solid, yeah. Pretty booked until about mid to end February. Currently, I'm usually about 6 to 8 weeks solid out, and that's about 4, sometimes 5 days a week.
Yeah, that's good. We want you to be successful. The only reason I ask is that be successful there. Okay.
Thank you.
You don't have any questions? I looked into it.
Ms. Savo, this is Jim Giletti. Could you just tell us briefly in your own words exactly what it is that you do? I see what's been written, but just give me an idea of what your business consists of.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. I do eyelash extensions, microblading. It's eyebrow micropigmentation. It's a semi-permanent cosmetic tattoo to mimic the look of makeup. I do areola and nipple reconstruction for mastectomy cancer survivors who have had a single or double mastectomy. I give them the appearance of a nipple or areola that they had lost. I do scar revision and stretch mark camouflage. I also teach microblading, and I apprentice them under my license with the state.
That's right. Vern, you were talking about a particular site where, and we're talking about the office district, so I know it's an amendment to the whole reg.
It's right on the corner of Leslie Street and Church Street. You know, years ago, there was a package store there. Sam Salingo had a package store there, and over the years it's changed.
Lindsley. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Right on the corner there. Yeah. It's a very small spot, and, you know, been trying to fill it there, you know, for some time, and this certainly would work well there, I believe. You know, no parking issue or whatever. But
that's all I have.
Okay. Commissioners, anybody
I got a question, Vern.
Sure, by all means, go ahead.
So besides knowing how to do, I don't know, beautician work, you have to have a medical background to do this kind of corrective tattooing?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, you do not have to have any kind of medical background. I do have a medical background, but it is not required. You do have to hold a tattoo technician license with the state, and have done 2,000 apprentice hours under a tattoo technician.
I guess my question is, if you're trying to correct scarring or stretch marks and, you know, whatever has been operated on, and to make that person feel comfortable with their body. I just wondered, more than being a tattoo artist, what kind of...
So no one should really be offering those services unless they've done some sort of paramedical course where you learn specifically about scars, and how to put a little bit of needling into them to get them to camouflage well. That's specifically taught in the course, but there is no medical license or certification requirement to operate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Paul Wyman, I have one question. I just, in regard to like radiation targeting tattoos. Would you be removing those?
I do not remove them. I camouflage them.
Okay, and I'm just a novice at this, so if you could just tell me how you do that.
Yeah, so I have a permanent, semi-permanent tattoo machine. So these aren't permanent surfaces, they're semi-permanent. I don't penetrate as deep as a normal tattoo would, which is down to the dermis. It's in the upper dermis, which eventually means that it exfoliates out of the skin after a period of time. So we would deposit skin-colored pigment or more brown pigment to resemble more of a beauty mark, as opposed to these dark markers that the radiologists implant.
Okay, that's great. So here comes the camouflage part, right? That's what the answer is. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. And Brian?
Brian, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. And Jim, you're all set? Jim? Oh, Jim.
Yeah, I shook my head yes, you weren't looking. Yes.
I didn't see it, so, okay. Very good. If we're all set there, is there anyone here in the public that would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in favor? Anyone in opposition? Or have any questions? Anybody have any questions with respect to this? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much. Dennis, thank you.
I think we're good, Mr. Chairman. I think Desiree's answered the questions, and hopefully it's a good use for the office district.
I think it will be fine just there. You know, with that being said, Dennis, I'm going to close this public hearing.
Thank you.
Okay, this is closed. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Okay, Brian?
Okay, this is public hearing P20-40S.
Yes.
Special permit application, certificate of location as authorized by section 8.10.1 of 110 Republic Drive Associates, LLC, applicant owner relative to 110 Republic Drive, map 35, lot 12, plan entitled proposed warehouse use, 110 Republic Drive, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Godfrey Hoffman Hodge, LLC, dated 12/8/2020, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, IG 80 zoning district.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Is there someone to speak for the applicant?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Jim Rotundo here, licensed professional engineer with Godfrey Hoffman Hodge. Office is located at 26 Broadway in North Haven. Representing the applicant, also on the meeting with me tonight is Mr. Rich Cuomo, who is the owner and applicant, as well as Adam O'Brien from Craft Beer, which is the business looking to relocate to 110 Republic Drive. Craft Beer is actually currently located right around the corner of 360 Sackett Point Road, so they do have a presence in North Haven, looking into moving to a new facility. 110, the building is located at the end of 110 Republic Drive. There's currently an approximately 90,000 square foot building consisting predominantly of warehouse uses. It's located in the IG 80 zone. The applicant is requesting a certificate of location for a warehouse use for a beer distributor. This would be strictly warehousing. There are no retail sales proposed. The area will consist of about 28,600 square feet of warehouse area, which is, it's replacing warehouse area now. So it's a warehouse for warehouse exchange. There is sufficient parking on the site to support the uses. So there's no site work required for this application. That's my presentation. Unless Rich or Adam have anything to add, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the commission. I can't hear you, Mr. Chairman.
They're moving from one building to the other, and you're not doing any restoration to the outside of the building?
Not to the outside of the building, that's correct.
Okay, well, that's the only question I had. This is pretty much straightforward for me. In any event, Jim, you have any question?
So my only question is, maybe I'm misunderstanding. So it's just, you're going to use warehouse area, correct?
That is correct.
And it's for beer distributor? Is that what it's for?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know that's, okay. Did you say it was Praxair a beer distributor? Or is it
Craft. C-R-A-F-T.
I'm sorry?
Craft. C-R-A-F-T.
Oh,
Craft. Yeah.
okay. I misunderstood. I don't have any.
No question? Okay. Rich?
No question. I think it's a good use over there.
Okay. Brian?
Just one question for James. This is the old dish location, dish network location, those warehouses there?
Rich, are you on? Can you, I know
Richard Como. Yeah, Richard Como. That is correct. The old Dish and Dow tile space.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Paul?
No, I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Staff, do you have any questions there at all? Alan?
No, nothing.
No. Okay. Very good.
All set, Mr. Chairman.
Is there anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this? Anyone here like to speak in favor? Anyone here in opposition? Anyone have any questions? Andy? Andy?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Hearing none, and we're good to go. I'm gonna close this public hearing. It's done. Okay. That's it. We're done with that. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving forward now. We'll turn the page at least. And we're down to change the use. Alan, the State Street, 87A State Street. Is there someone here for 87 State Street for change of use? Alan, you know anything about this?
I had a conversation with the owner, Mr. Benevento, and he had indicated, I believe, that some months back, the commission approved a laundromat over there at King Acres Plaza, and they did not eventually go into the space. But they are interested. There's a retail custom embroidery. You can see the name American Eagle. I thought that they were intending to be here this evening with us. I don't know, coming from a laundromat, I guess it's a change of use, going to retail from service, let's say. I don't know if the commission has questions about it. Again, I had expected someone to be here for that.
Yeah.
Alan, this is Jennifer Capola, counsel for the commission. Alan, perhaps you could try unmuting everyone. Also, if somebody is on for 87A State Street, to unmute, you can press *6 on your phone. And if you're participating via video, you should go to the lower left-hand corner of the gallery view and unmute yourself. There's a microphone icon there.
Hearing anything, Jennifer?
I don't see anyone out there.
At all? Well, I mean, this is just just a straight change of use from a service to retail.
I don't know why they're not here, and I know the commission wants to speak with these owners generally, or the owners of the business anyway. I don't know if it's the kind of thing you want to table to next month, or if there is any thought that you just want to approve it as something that's relatively innocuous. I don't know. I
don't see any problem with it at all.
Mr. Chairman, from my 2 cents, I don't either. This is a pretty small change of use in a location that we know about. I don't think we have a big problem with the site. Yeah, I hear what Alan's saying, and I appreciate it. And we do like to have owners here a lot, especially when there's sites we have a problem. I don't know that we have a problem with this one. So whatever your pleasure is, I don't have a problem approving it. I don't see a problem with it.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Rich, you got any problem with it? Go ahead and with no applicant?
No, with an embroidery shop going over there. No, I don't see a problem.
Paul?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I guess we're okay with that. Okay, well, we'll just move on and we'll just take this up in deliberation. Now we have 1870 Hartford Turnpike. We just put this in last month, and is there someone here from? Well, I guess they're going to perform a service there, one service, isn't it, Alan?
Well, there is, and Agent Bogan was prepared to begin her presentation a short time ago, but we held her off. And
how are you?
There she is.
Sorry, I'm in the middle. It's always at this time, is I'm always in the middle of it. I teach dance too somewhere else, so I'm always in the middle of a dance class.
Okay, can you tell us what you want to do there and
Yeah, so I presently rent a space in Wallingford, and I share it with 2 other trainers. But we run our own businesses in between each other. But this space is just me. I'm the only trainer, so I am the only employee. It will be the hours of operation fluctuate. Sundays, the only day on Sundays, it's only open for 1 hour on Sundays for a 10 a.m. class. And that's it for Sundays. Fridays it's closed unless I'm in there doing office work, but closed to, patrons and clients and stuff like that. So basically what I do is I train clients one-on-one, physical fitness training, or sometimes it's like groups of 2 or 3. I do run classes. Right now with COVID, I kept my classes at 10 people. They wear the mask, the whole thing, at this moment. After COVID, I can't have too many more. I mean, it's a 1,000 square foot space. So I'm assuming that the most will probably be, about 15, like 5 extra, people. Because again, it's not a, it's a 1,000 square feet space. There is an office. So I am also doing nutritional coaching, life coaching, one-on-one in the office area. So that's basically what it is. My first early classes on 2 days out of the week are a 6 a.m. class. It's the same thing, like I said, like 10 people right now with COVID. The most it'll be is about 15. They come to the class, they leave. No one hangs out. It's not a membership facility where you have to, you can kind of just come when you want. Everything's by appointment. Or you signed up for a class, or you came in, for our one-on-one sessions.
Good enough. Thank you, young lady. Any questions from the commission?
No, Vern.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
My only question, did we look at this already once or not?
Yes.
Say that again, sorry?
Jim, this is Alan Frederickson. This was the amendment that was approved last month.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
The only thing that you'll see, I also have like certain things like protein bars, that I give to clients. I mean, little things that, I give them even now, wherever I am, they find me. So, I mean, stuff like that. But as far as like this, it's not like a CrossFit. So there is no membership where they could come, whenever they want and exercise and stuff like that.
Got it. We wish you luck. Good for you.
Thank you. Hope to see you guys there.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. All right. We have some correspondence. Do we have correspondence did everyone look at the correspondence from zoning enforcement? The CEO?
Yeah, I did. I would remember how last time we talked about, at some point, we got to sit down and talk about enforcement and the whole thing. Whenever we can figure out we're going to do that, we should look at all of these things.
Okay, we will do that, Jim. We'll take a look at this, but are you satisfied with what we got from her this month? I did talk with her. She said she's pretty much on top of things. And that was today. So if she is or not, I couldn't tell you, but in any event, that's the all of it there. Okay, with that being said, we're out of that. And I guess we got to go back and go into deliberation.
I'll make a motion to go into deliberations. This is Jim Gilletti.
Okay. Can I get a second for the motion?
This is Brian Cummings, and I'll second Jim's motion to go into deliberations.
Okay. Can I get an approval for the P20-39? It is the amendment. The amendment to the zoning presented to us by Dennis and Aviva for for going in there for the tattooing of tattooing or whatever you might call it, the health on the center of North Haven there on Lindsay Street there.
I'll make a motion to approve that tattoo shop.
Okay.
The health and wellness shop. It's a health and wellness shop.
Cosmetic shop. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a
Paul Wyman, I'll second that.
Okay. Jennifer?
Vern Carlson,
Yes.
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Paul Wyman.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Thank you all. Okay. And the next one is is P20-40S, special permit for the beer distributor or alcohol distributor up there and on Republican. Just presented to us. Going to get a motion to approve moving from the front to the back building.
I'll make a motion to approve, and just to make it clear, all of our motions to approve with all staff comments included.
Good. I got a motion to approve. Okay, Brian, you second?
Yes, I did, Vern.
Okay, good. Jennifer?
Vern Carlson,
Yes.
Rich Wilson,
Yes.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Paul Wyman.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve 87A State Street? The change of use there on 87A State Street.
Brian,
I'll make a motion to approve 87A State Street for the embroidery shop.
Yep.
Brian Cummings, I'll second that motion.
Jennifer?
Vern Carlson,
Yes.
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Paul Wyman.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, can I get a motion? Can I get on to 1870 Hartford Turnpike? The girl was just before us to go in there and do her teacher classes and the one-on-one training and so forth up in the plaza. Motion to approve, Paul? Paul?
Yes. Motion to approve. Paul Wyman.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Jennifer?
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Rich
Rich.
Wilson.
Vern Carlson,
Yes.
Rich Wilson,
Yes.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Yes.
and Paul Wyman.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. and a motion to approve the minutes for December 7th, 2020.
Brian Cummings, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 7th, 2020.
Have a second?
Gilletti, I'll second it.
Okay. Jennifer?
You could do a voice vote. That's fine.
Okay, good enough. We got that. Okay.
Call for the
Just
vote.
say all in favor, Vern.
All
right.
All in
Aye.
favor.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else that should come before the commission tonight?
I don't think so, Vern.
Again, an adjournment? Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Rich Wilson.
Can I have a second?
Paul Wyman, I second the motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank you
everyone.
very much. Good night,
Happy
all.
New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Jennifer?
Good night, Vern.
Good night. Thank you.
Take care, Vern. Be
Yep.
well. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night, Jennifer. Good night, boss.
Thank you.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.